Well, hey guys, it's Mike Festiva here. Welcome back. I know what you're thinking. This is a ridiculous amount of welders. Yes, it is. But I want to correct you on one thing. There's a few plasma torches mixed in here as well. Anyhow, we'll get to the topic of this video. A reason I have all these welders hanging out here, and there's actually going to be a few I need to Photoshop in right here that I don't own anymore, and I'll tell you the reasons why. Basically, I've had reviews on all these machines. You'll be able to find the original review down in the description below. These machines I've been happy with for the most part. There's a few things I don't like about them, and we're going to go over all that. I'm going to spend about 2 to 5 minutes per machine in this video. If you're interested in, say, the titanium 125 flux, you can jump right to the timeline. I'll put one up here and in the description. You can jump right to that part of the video and hear what I have to say after getting some hours in on that. The reason why I didn't release one video every week for the next 2 months is because I have a lot of subscribers that probably don't want to see this video, maybe 10,000 that do. So I don't want to irritate a bunch of my subscribers by just bombing them with basically a new video every week. It'd be nice for me to actually get caught up on content and actually be able to get ahead, but basically I just want to get it done with one big swoop. It's kind of like a band-aid, just rip it off all at one time. So anyways, maybe that's not a good description of it. Let's get on with the video, guys. So this is a little awkward. The first machine is not going to be the Protig 205. I'm going to have to Photoshop in its place the Omnipro 220. So we're going to imagine this is the Omnipro. We'll do a straight on shot. Might be easier for me to Photoshop that on. So we're going for the Omnipro first because it's one of the oldest welders I've had that's going to be included in this review. That machine I really liked. I bought as soon as they came out, and I didn't actually expect to be into doing any reviews on any welders at the time. I just was so disappointed with people doing unboxing videos over and over again on them when they first came out, the first month and a half. So I decided I was saving up for a welder at the time. I was looking at a Hobart handler, just didn't like it was 220. It was like 80 pounds. So I decided to take a gamble. I was a little sketched out of spending, I think it cost $750 at the time when they first came out. I was a little sketched out about spending that much at Harbor Freight, so I bought the extended warranty and decided I was already making YouTube videos at the side. I wasn't a review guy, so I decided, well, heck with it. I'm just going to make a review on this machine and show it working, whether it worked good or not. And I was pleasantly surprised with that machine. Everything worked really well. You'll be able to find the original review or quite a few videos on that machine down below in the description. The reason why I don't have it anymore is because I bought the Titanium 200 because it came out about a year later with that. And by that point, I had the Omnipro for about a year. And I think I got rid of the Omnipro after about a year and a half. No problems, works excellent. But after handling the two and carrying them around, the Omnipro was like twice the weight of the Titanium 200. I actually just liked the way the titanium worked. The Omnipro had some really rad features. I didn't think I'd use the auto set much in it, but I ended up using it a lot. It's really nice bouncing around between 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch metal just by turning a knob. It had full manual adjustments as well. But it was just one of those things that worked out really well to have those auto sets and spot weld and a lot of things like that. But honestly, I didn't really want to keep 2 multi-process DC TIG stick MIG machines because at the time I really needed a TIG welder. So I sold off the Omnipro 220 because I was happy with the Titanium 200, and I took the money for it and I rolled it into the Protig 200, and we'll go into that in a little bit. I don't have that one anymore, but we'll cover that a little bit later in the video. All right, so that said about the Omnipro 220, it's been a good machine. Out of the thousands of comments I've had on the channel over the last 3 or 4 years about that machine, I think I've heard 3 or 4 people that have commented that they've had them burn up. But 3 or 4 people out of quite a few thousand that people have had them and have been happy with them. I don't think that's too bad. So let's wrap that part up, get rid of this one, and we'll bring the titanium in next. Here's the Unlimited 200, the Titanium 200. It's DC TIG, stick, and MIG machine. This I've been using for over 2 years now. It's been solid. It's been a great machine. I have no complaints about it. It is manual adjustments, unlike the Omnipro had auto set. But it's got a very nice chart inside. Once you get used to dialing in, it's pretty easy to set it up. The only issue I've actually had with this is kind of common with any welder you're going to ever have is the ground clamp burned up. It just got worse and worse and worse. And not a big thing because I was able to go to do a Harbor Freight, and for like $6 or $8 they have these, and this one's been on here for like the last year and a half. It's been fine. Simple thing. But the only biggest gripe I have is don't sell a machine that has a ground clamp just like the worst contacts on it. It took no time at all for this thing to burn up. So if you buy one of these machines, I highly recommend them. I've had no complaints about this thing myself. It's been rock solid. So you guys saw I used it for all that 1/4 inch work I did on that articulated dump truck last winter. I've taken it to work a bunch of times and used it. but the ground clamp is garbage. Just spend a few extra dollars, guys. Get rid of that. I saved that clamp just to show you guys how bad it was. It's one of those things, they could just put a few extra dollars into a better clamp right out of the box would be good. Other than that, it's been a great machine. Only other complaint I have about it is the lift TIG does not work very good. It will TIG weld fine. I'm not saying it won't TIG weld fine. The lift TIG feels more like a scratch start to me. It just sticks the tungsten a lot. I wasn't very happy with that. I say the Yeswelder I just been reviewed recently, the lift TIG works very well on it, probably better than the Omnipro or the titanium, but we'll get into that towards the end of the video. Oh, another thing is I've had thousands of comments on the titanium welder videos as well. I've never heard of anybody that said they burned one up yet. This thing's been solid for me. I haven't really heard any complaints. I heard one guy that said he bought one from Harbor Freight, took it home, couldn't get it to weld right with flux, returned it the next day. I said, hey, did you reverse your polarity? Because with flux core, it's reverse what you think. And he never commented back. And so I think it just was operator error, never knew how to use it right. You never know if somebody's never welded before they get it and they just don't know how to weld. But yeah, no complaints on this from me. I've been really happy with it. Like I just said, just get yourself a better ground if you get one. It's been a great solid machine. My MIG lead has been holding up just fine, but the other day I looked into that on Harbor Freight. I know they got like a replacement parts line and I didn't see the MIG gun available for them. I'm sure I could adapt something else to it. It's been totally fine, but down the road, sooner or later, you're gonna break one of these things. And I'm not 100% sure how easy it is to get a replacement for one of these. I haven't had to deal with it yet. I think I could probably fab up something on my lathe to fit any type of MIG lead on here. If you guys had to replace your MIG lead through Harbor Freight, leave a comment down below if you have, what the process was. Was it easy? Was it difficult? All right, let's move on to the next welder, guys. So here's the Protig 205, but I'm also gonna Photoshop in right over here the Protig 200 because I think that was about the next welder I got was the Protig 200. I'm gonna make believe it's right over here. That was my first AC/DC TIG machine. I really want to finally have my hands on a TIG machine so I could teach myself how to weld aluminum, and I have to say that machine was awesome. I really liked it. I bought it right before it was discontinued. I knew they were discontinuing it. At the time, there's a local Harbor Freight in my town, and it was easy to get, and they had a warranty. They told me even if it was discontinued, if they came out with another machine, I would be able to get it warranted for a different machine. It ended up working great. The reason I don't own it anymore was because I ended up getting the Protig 205. So I sold the Protig 200 to a friend that needed an aluminum welder because I didn't need two of them. And I gave him a hell of a deal on it. It was just one of those things. I have welders. I've been reviewing welders. I buy them. Sometimes I get some for free. I got this one given to me. And the Protig I paid out of pocket for, the 200, but I was able to pass that on to a friend. There's a lot of things I really liked about the Protig, especially being an introductory machine to aluminum AC welder. It was very easy to use. The interface was really well, sometimes maybe a little too simplified. It got a bad rap on a few things. People are really over obsessed about the pre and post flow not being adjustable. The higher you ran the amperage, the longer it put your post flow, things like that. People just can't get over it. They thought they were wasting too much argon gas. I ended up just putting a manual torch on it. It worked fine for me. I could set how long I wanted my post flow by the manual torch. Keep in mind I was coming from a manual torch TIG, lift TIG machine, so it wasn't bad for me to do that. Of course, it's nice having the gas solenoids inside. That one did, but I could just run that manual torch and turn it off whenever I wanted to. The interface was dead simple, and that was really cool. There wasn't a bunch of stuff. It had pulse and things like that. It just wasn't a bunch of things to get bogged down on. I really liked that machine. I think it got a bad rap from a few other guys that gave it a bad review. And I really like that machine. I'll be links to videos that I've actually used it on and reviewed down below. That being said, we're done with the Protig 200. It's not on the market anymore. One last thing I want to say is I hear that they come up from time to time on parking lot sales. Harbor Freight got them returned because maybe someone upgraded a different machine. I've heard them going for $250 to $350. If you see one at a parking lot sale and they'll guarantee you that you can take it home for 5 days and run it, buy it. It's a great machine. Well worth that or far more. They're good. Okay, move on to the Protig 205. Protig 205 I haven't had as long, but I've been very happy with it. It starts really nice, it works really nice, adjustable pre and post flow, a few more settings and adjustments they added to this machine, plus a screen. A little more complex with the interface, but very simple too. The Protig 200 was just dead simple with the big clicker knob. It's super simple. I like the interface on that one. This one's really nice, easy laid out, but there's a few more settings on here. So if you just got this machine, it's probably the next easiest TIG machine I've ever used, AC/DC TIG, with a few more features. And I actually have a review on this where I kind of walk you through some basics for welding aluminum. So you can go check out that review if you just picked this machine up. I've been really happy with it. It seems like a very well-built quality machine. Everything about it spec'd out, feels really nice. The pedal's nice. The whole machine's pretty robust. I think it's around 50 pounds. I've been really happy with it. It's my go-to. It's just consistent. And for the price, I think it's a great machine. Enough said about these AC TIG machines. Let's move on to the next. Next machine is my Titanium 45 plasma torch. I've been really happy with this thing. I got it right before it came out on the market from Harbor Freight. They sent it to me to see what I thought about it, and I've been super happy with it. It's been just rock solid. I've cut like 700, 800 feet of metal with this thing so far on my CNC Plasma table, and it's just been solid. No complaints at all. I've had a few people complain about it online that what a rip, I wouldn't spend that much on a plasma torch, especially from Harbor Freight. I think they're going for 8 something now. Honestly, it's a very good plasma torch. Not all plasma torches are created equal. Some are high frequency, like the old CUT 50 I had in the past. It's like a $200 plasma torch. Yeah, it cuts metal, but those won't run on CNC equipment. This one I wired up. I wired in a torch trigger into here. And this other box on the side I wired onto here. It's actually torch height control for my CNC table. So what basically it senses the voltage when the tip of the torch comes down to the table, touches off, and it will vary the height of it. That's something I was able to wire into here. And this Pilot Arc has had no problems with the sensitive electronics on CNC tables. So I think it's well worth what they sell for. The consumables aren't that expensive. They're not the cheapest either out there, but it's nothing like buying something for like a Hypertherm or anything like that. I think the cups are about 20 bucks for a pack of 5, and the tips, the internal tips in there are about the same, about 20 bucks for a pack of 5. I've probably gone through 10 to 15 cups and tips in the last year and 3 quarters, but I've cut, like I said, like maybe 800 feet of metal with this thing. And I would have actually got a lot longer life out of the cups if I would have actually ran really dry air. I only have some small water traps in line. I got to get an air dryer at some point because little bits of water coming through your lines is what destroys the tips. I found another feature on here that Harbor Freight didn't really mention. It was actually on here, and just kind of stumbled across this recently the other day. I've noticed on my CNC when I go to cut, there's a thing called pierce time. You can set it differently. When I cut like 1/4 inch, I usually set it up to about 1 second pierce time. And it's a little longer than some people out there with different machines. I usually cut almost all my work at 45 amps. So this thing's running full bore at all that metal I cut. I don't care if it's sheet metal, I just cut it faster. I always run it full bore on 220 and it works fine. Never hit the duty cycle on this thing yet. I realized that Harbor Freight incorporated an interesting little feature, and basically it's to help consumable life. This thing will start out at 15 amps and it'll ramp up very quickly, like within a half a second up to 45. It doesn't just jump right up there. That ramp up is something they add on nicer equipment, and it actually makes the consumables last longer just because it's more gradual ramp up. One thing, if you get one of these things and you're cutting, I've had a few people ask, they thought their machine was broken because it wouldn't go over 15 amps even though they had it dialed up to 45. I can guarantee you if it's not your consumables, it's probably your ground clamp. The way this machine is built, if that ground clamp is on your work, your metal, and it's on like rusty metal, it's not getting good contact, wire brush it clean, or use a flat wheel, or make sure the contacts on your ground clamp are nice clean, and make sure it's on your work really well, because if this machine, the way it works, it has a small ground wire that goes out to your Pilot Arc for your torch. And if that doesn't sense the actual grounds on your work very good, even if it's on there, it's not getting good contact, it won't allow the machine to go to a true 45, or it'll burn up that little wire, that little ground wire going to the Pilot Arc. So just double check. I know it sounds complicated here, but just double check your ground's really good. Your work ground is on a really good clean piece of metal, because this machine's got enough technology built into it that if it doesn't sense a good ground, it won't allow you to go over 15 amps. All right, you guys, I think that's enough talking about this. If you want to see a review or see this thing running on my CNC table, just check out some of the videos down below or go look at my channel. This thing's used in almost every video. All right, on to the next machine. This wee little guy's next. This little guy might be small, but packs a punch. It is a Titanium Flux 125. It's a great little welder. I was super excited when this came out. I ordered one. They didn't have them in the town I live in for like a few months, so I ordered one on the Harbor Freight's website. I think I bought for like $169 on sale. They vary right now. I think they're on sale again for that. They usually run off sale for about 200 bucks. Well worth it, man. I've ran some flux welders in the past that were just garbage, you know. For the Chicago line, I was a blue little flux welder from Harbor Freight. I bought when I was in my early 20s, years ago, and that thing It worked. You could weld stuff together. It was super weak. I've also ran some of the little Lincoln weld pack flux machines. This thing blows those Lincolns away massively. This actually has a lot of power. This thing will weld up, I think in the chart it says 3/16 single pass. I think you can get about quarter as long as you bevel your metal really well and like you know what you're doing, but it's actually a pretty hot little welder. Flux always has a tendency to weld a little hotter than solid wire anyways. I still think, and I contacted the guys at Harbor Freight a year ago when they first came out with this and said, hey, you guys should design one of these things and make it like the Plus model or like the XL, where it had a little MIG port in the back so you could run some gas into it. So I think this with a little gas bottle would be a pretty slick little welder. It is cool. I like the simplicity and the basics of it just being basically a flux machine only. You don't need to drag a gas bottle around. This machine I don't own anymore. I borrowed it back to make the video. I actually traded it to my brother to do some drone work for some of my videos. You might have seen some drone shots with my articulated dump truck and a few shots if I can get him to come out to the shop once in a while and film me when I'm doing some welding and stuff. I just need extra cameraman help. So I knew he needed a welder and I was really happy to pass this one on, just make sure that he had a welder set up. He's been using it quite a bit. I like it so much I took it to my work, showed it to my boss. We end up ordering one for our department. We have the titanium 200, a few Lincoln machines at my work, but we have one of these and we use it a lot because we don't have to drag a gas bottle around. I work in a large factory. Sometimes something like a bracket on a table might break or a machine. We got to weld something on. We got to be in and out quick. When everyone goes on a lunch break or something, we can get in there, pack this thing in. It runs off a 110. It welds stuff really nice. We can go repair something and be out of there in no time at all. People come back from lunch, the table's fixed, whatever it is. It's a great little welder. I definitely recommend it. People ask, can I do sheet metal work and body work? Yes, you can. You can do it with most of these MIG machines. The flux tends to weld a little hotter. You have to dial in your settings. Just get some thin metal if you are planning to do some sheet metal work like on car bodies. Dial it in. I've welded some unbelievably thin metal kind of paneling and sheet work on some machines at work that just need to be spot welded back together. And you can do it with this thing. You're not going to be running long beads. You're going to be like start a little spot weld arc and kind of stitch it back together. But you can dial this thing down quite a bit. Just play with your settings. Just practice, practice, practice. That's kind of, if you guys have seen any of my videos, I encourage people to get out and do things. And that's one of the questions I have asked a lot. Can I do body work with this thing? Of course you can. It's going to be a little bit more splattery from the flux wire and everything like that, but don't let that limit you. If that's all the budget you have for is a machine like this for like 160 to 200 bucks, I think it's great. If it gets you to start welding go-karts or mini bikes or bicycle projects, I would have loved to have one of these when I was a kid. I didn't have any welders. I remember waiting a month and a half to get my friend to weld a bicycle frame I lowered a long time ago when I was like 12 or 13. I would have loved to have a little welder like this when I was a kid, but I, of course, couldn't get my hands on a first welder until I was 16. It was a big old buzz box and it was terrible. If this is all you have in your budget, this machine works well. Matter of fact, my boss at work, he liked the one we had at work so much, he went out and bought one for fixing mower decks and things like that. Everyone I've showed this to and they actually got to run it, they're like, I'm buying that welder. That thing's great. All right, on to the next machine. On to the red welder. This is the Amico CTS 160. Had a lot of people ask about this machine, what I think about it. I said I was going to do a follow-up review. It's been a long time. I had this machine probably coming up to close to about a year. To level with you guys, I don't own it anymore. Yeah, I had to borrow it back from a friend. I gave it to a friend of mine. I have more welders and machines than I even need. I got it. I was very curious about it. I had a lot of people asking about plasma torches, especially affordable ones on Amazon at the time. The reason I wanted to review this one, and I bought it, paid out of pocket for my own money. They got for $3 something at the time. They varied quite a bit in price. We'll go over that in a moment. But it's a CTS 160, 160 amp machine. It's a plasma, TIG, and stick. And I couldn't find much information. I asked questions on Amazon and other people. It was super vague about this machine. So I was like, well, I'm gonna put down my money, review this thing, see what I think about it. Because having the plasma torch built into it's pretty cool for a machine around, I think I paid $360 on this one. This was an old model. It was red. Now they sell in the gray. People think because I did a review that they instantly went up in price. No, I just dig around for bargains. I've had a lot of people complain that I've done a review and now they've gone up. They don't have the facts right. They don't understand what they're talking about. I specifically bought an old model, and I had a link to an old model. And once that old model sold out the red, they went to the current model, which is gray, and they're running around $400. But do not pay much more than $400 for one of these machines. The reason is when they start becoming low on stock, the price goes up $500 and $600. I don't think it's worth $500 and $600. It was cool as a $360 welder, $400, okay. don't pay more than that. Just wait a month or two until they're back in stock and the price will come down on them. That's my honest opinion on them. When I got it, everything worked well, but I found the regulator, somebody mentioned that might have an internal leak in the regulator because you crank up the regulator too much and it makes this weird like sound. So it might be an internal leak in there. I've never pulled it apart. It never really affected me much. I realized because the reviews and everything on it didn't talk about it. It looked like it had a button up here, like it would actually have a gas solenoid on it. And it seemed to me it could be high frequency, and sure enough, it's a high frequency DC TIG. So it has this nice little torch, a push button to start and stop the gas valve in here, and it really works well with the high frequency. So I think out of all the whole machine, the stick worked fine, the plasma's fine. The DC TIG is an actual excellent feature on this thing because it's high frequency. And it's super vague on the website, typical Amazon style or eBay, just run-of-the-mill vague description. But if you guys want to see the review on this thing, check out the link below for the Amico CTS 160. The reason I don't own it anymore, I've had to borrow it back from my buddy to do this review, but I wanted to have it in person here. It's worked fine for me. I have no problems with it. I think it's well worth the money. The reason why I gave it away was because my friend has helped me out years and years, just being a good, loyal friend of mine. And he's got an old shop I used to work for him. I used to do mechanic, car and truck and heavy equipment mechanic stuff in my late teens and early 20s. We've been friends since, you know, I'm 40 now. And my buddy Walter's really helped me out a lot over the years and just been a good friend. And I was down there working on a shop a while back, and I realized he's got an old stick welder and he had a acetylene gas torch. I was like, Walter, dude, have you ever tried TIG? Or have a plasma torch? He's like, no. I was like, man, you got to try out this machine. He's borrowed it for months and months now. And finally, the other day, I was just like, I want you to have that machine. It's yours. I have other plasma torches. What's the point of reviewing these machines and doing these things? And just, I don't need to hoard the machines. As you see, I got a lot, but I'm passing some of these machines on to friends. Please don't leave a comment down below that you need a weld and you want me to pass something on to you guys. I'm looking out for friends I've known for 20 plus years here. But anyways, my buddy Walter's been using this a lot. He said it works great. Consumables are super cheap for the plasma. I think he wants to learn TIG. He's got all the gas for it. I need to go down and give him like a one-on-one lesson on how to TIG weld. All in all, he's been using mostly the plasma and he's been super stoked. He hasn't been shelling out money on the gas, the oxygen and acetylene. So he said he loves it. He's been really happy with it. Wrap up this part of the video. I'm going to take this back to him so he has his machine back. We'll get on to the next machine. All right, you guys, this welder has been pretty amazing so far. If you've been watching any of my little mini Pinzgauer 6x6 build series, this has been the main welder I've been using that whole series. And the reason is I'm using this on that build rather than the titanium 200. I've had the titanium 200 for 2 years now, welded a lot with it. I can highly recommend it. It's a good solid welder. I've been very happy with it. But after 2 years, it's like time to move on, try something else out. I'm gonna probably get rid of that to a friend of mine. This thing has been great, but time will tell. Like, I wanna get a lot of hours on it. So far, I have quite a few hours on it, but I wanna get like a good year where I feel super confident in recommending this. Someone asked, what do you think about it? Well, I've only had it for 4.5, 5 months now. I've been happy with it so far. But time will tell. I say that in any one of these super fancy new inverter machines. This thing's, you know, multi voltage, so 110, 220. It's been really good. It's an unbelievable deal these things are going for. So I've been really happy about that. When I first got it, I was a little disappointed because it didn't have a nice little cheat sheet on the inside of the door here. It's a auto set machine, so you can dial in, but I didn't find the auto set to be that useful because it was in millimeters, not thousandths or, you know, fractions or anything. But I did find some things that were pretty helpful. If you guys have these, you can turn up and down the voltage. It'll tell you the voltage, it'll tell you the amperage over here. But I found that on 035 wire, when I'm welding solid wire on here, over here there's a button. You can go in a few parameters in, and you can get to a plus 10 or minus 10 for your voltage. You can increase or decrease the voltage. And the way this machine basically works is as you change the voltage on here, it will automatically set the wire speed to match. When I first got it, I found that it was stacking up a bit too high of welds for me. It seemed like it was feeding just too much wire. And so basically you go in this parameter in here and you can go like +2, I found works really well. +2 for the voltage in this parameter. And the next parameter I think is inductance. I think I run around 5 or 6. And that works really well. I find that it's really simple dial in from that point. Like I'm gonna weld 1/8 inch. I'll run it up to like 18.2, 18.4 volts, and it works really well. When I weld 3/16 16s, maybe 19.2, somewhere in that range, or 19. Run down to sheet metal, maybe we're at 16.5. Like, it's super easy to dial it in. Oh, I want a little more heat, just dial it in a few tenths of a volt more. I've been really liking that. I actually find it's really fast to set up like that for me now, and I just want to get a lot more time in it. I've been really happy with the product, especially how much they're going for. I think at the time of this video, off sale they're selling for $369, which is a crazy deal. Now, you guys don't need to go through this promo code or not, but down below I have a promo code that gets you 10% off on these machines. And around the holidays, sometimes they have 20% off sales, but I think they become super back ordered. So you might be waiting on your welder for over a month around the holidays. But anyways, you'll see this keep being used in the videos from here on. I'm really happy with it. And right after we talk about this one, I got one more welder that I'm gonna bring up. I haven't done a review on, but I wanna talk a few minutes about, and then we'll probably wrap up the video, guys. All right, yes, this is a different welder. It's not the same one as the last one. It's from the same company, Yeswelder. This is the TIG 205P. It's an AC/DC pulse TIG machine. It's also a stick welder. The last one we just had up here was a DC TIG stick and MIG machine. I have not done a review on this thing yet. I've been using it for about 4 or 5 months off camera, using it at my work to weld aluminum a lot. Been figuring out all the parameters and just getting some time in it before I want to do a review. It's an amazing value when it comes to an AC/DC TIG machine. It's got crazy features, like a lot more than a lot of TIGs I've ran. The Protig 205, this thing has actually a lot more features on it. It's a bit lighter. There's some good features on this, some things I like about the Protig more, some things I like about this more. To kind of set this as an example, this thing at the time of the video is selling for about 750 bucks. And I've ran my buddy's Miller Dynasty, and that thing's, I think, a $3,500 machine. And this actually has the same features, but a few extras like spot weld and things like that for your TIG. So this is really nice. The thing that I don't care as much about this thing, and I talked to the company, the pedal works completely fine, but it's very light duty. A bit of cheapness to it. It fully works, and if you ever had to tear it apart, if anything was wrong with it, it's super simple. It's like a 10K pot in there. There's like not much to it. But I just said to the company, you know, you guys could step up the pedal a little bit. It's just the pedal's just a little on the cheap side. But other than that, it actually has some really cool features. Like if I had the torch with me right here, it's curled up, but you can actually, if you're DC TIG welding, you can push a button to start and stop, the high frequency to start and stop. And you can use that for spot welding, just really quick, super high. Like you can set from like 0.2 seconds up to 10 seconds for spot weld. It's got a lot of interesting features. If you guys want to see a review on this thing, leave a comment down below and I'll try to get to one sooner than later. All right, you guys, want to wrap up the video. Thank you so much if you guys stuck it out this far. I want to give a little background on a few things with these reviews. Like a lot of these machines I've paid out of pocket. Some I've been given to me. Yeswelder sent me this one. I've been really happy to try it out. I've paid for a lot of the welders in this review though, and I'm going to continue to pay for some, and I'm going to continue to get a few for free here and there. One thing I want to mention, I got contacted recently, well, 2 months ago, from a company that actually has some pretty well-known welders on the market, and they wanted to send me a whole lineup of AC/DC TIG, Plasma for my CNC, and a MIG machine. And the drawback was I exclusively had to use their product in the videos. I did not have to remove any of my review videos, but from here on I couldn't have any other machines in my videos other than their machine. And I just felt like it would be not something I really want to go down that road. Yeah, if you get $4,000 or $5,000 worth of machines given to you, it's not worth it to me to say that, you know, I can't do any more review videos of a $350 MIG I find on Amazon, whether I want it or not, or a high-end machine. Like, I feel like I've been doing these reviews long enough, and you guys have been following my channel long enough that you guys look to see what I have to say about these machines. And for me to like, well, I'll accept $4,000 or $5,000 worth of stuff, but from here on out, that's only stuff I can have in my videos. I just didn't like that idea. And as soon as I heard their guidelines to that, I'm like, thanks, but no thanks. To me, I would much rather review a $350 MIG and have the flexibility to do that and review. If you guys suggest a machine, hey, I've seen this on Amazon, what do you think about it? I can buy it. I can review it. No one's going to tell me I can't. And I just didn't like the idea of like, yeah, you can have our machines, but that from here on out, that's all you get to run. No, thank you. Thanks, but no thanks. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and where I'm coming from on this. And till next time, oh, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. That really helps the way the video is rated and ranked on YouTube. YouTube doesn't seem to do much to promote my stuff, so if you leave a comment, that helps out. And subscribe if you're not subscribed. Take care, guys. Till next time. Bye.